Alright, and welcome back. In this video we're going to create our form to add new contacts. We do need to add a little bit to our MVC framework here, and it's going to be very simple, but we need a few methods to add to our view. So go to core and view and open that up. Just kind of go down to the end of the file here, but before the closing class tag. And let's go ahead and add a public function called insert, and we're going to give that a path, and what we'll do is say include root ds app ds views, and then we'll do our path, oops, lowercase, and then, oops, dot PHP. Alright, so that function's done. Let me just double check. Root ds app ds views. I forgot a ds here, so ds path.php. Alright, so that's the insert method. We'll need that, and then we're also going to need let's do a public function, and then what we want to do is partial. Okay, so we'll do group partial. So that takes two parameters. So this one is going to be very similar. It's going to be include root .ds .app .ds, again views, ds, and then we're going to use group here, and then we'll do partials. So we can create a directory inside of our views called partials, and then we'll do ds, and then we'll partial, and then .php. Alright, so that should do it. So we'll go ahead and close view here, and next up we actually want to add our add function. So if we go to contacts here and we click add, it said the method does not exist in the controller context, so we need to add that. So go to the contacts controller, and what we want to do is add our add action. So go ahead here before the closing class there, we want to do public function add action, and here we're going to do we'll just start off by rendering our views. So this view, let's see, render contacts / add. Alright, so we need to add that. So go to our views, and inside our contacts directory we're going to create a new file, and we'll call that add.php. See how easy this is, guys? And after you do it a few times, you're going to be like, whoa, this is awesome. So here, let's go ahead and set our site title. So if you remember, we created a function, and it's called set site title, and we'll say add a contact. Alright, oops. So then we'll go ahead and start. And we'll start the body here, and skip down a few lines, and we will do a this end. Okay, so what we're actually going to put here is we'll do our div with a class of, let's do call medium 8. Alright, and I'm actually going to add few more classes here. So we'll do call medium offset 2, and we'll give it a class of well as well. And then inside there, let's go ahead and do an h2 with a class of text center. Oh, come on. All right. Not going to work for me. So h2, and we'll give it a class of text center, and we'll call this add a. We'll do lowercase a. You can do whatever you want. And then what I want to do is I'm going to add a horizontal rule here. All right. Yep. Let's just test that. So refresh here, and boom, we have add a contact, and you can barely see it, but there is a horizontal rule there. My cat's crawling on my shoulder, so if you hear a cat or you hear me scream because he clawed me, or she clawed me, that's why. All right. So the next thing I want to do is I want to have a form for this, but the thing is I don't want to put my form in this add.php because I want to reuse that form like on an edit page or other things, and so that, my friends, is why we have partials. Okay, so partials allow us to reuse part of our HTML somewhere else. So inside of the views contact directory, let's create a new directory, and I did search again, dang it. So here we're going to just call it partials. It has to be called that because that's how we set it up. And inside there I'm going to create a new file called form.php. So that we have that open now. Now we get to build out just our form. We don't want to put a bunch of extra stuff here, primarily because if we put a lot of extra things, it's not a real good partial at that point. So let's just use form tags, and I'm going to give it a class of form. And for the action, let's go ahead and say this post action. Okay. And for method, let's do post. And we'll close that form. All right. So then what we want to do here is let's just test. Let me just put something here. Let's just make sure we have all this working. So let's do a refresh. And oh, we gotta actually add it. So go back to your add.php, and this is what's really cool. We added this function called partial. So what we're going to do is after this horizontal rule, we're going to do PHP, and we'll say this partial, and we're going to say it's in the contacts control directory, and it's called form. So it's in the contacts directory, and it's called form. So now if I refresh, there's a problem. So line 7. Yep. I forgot to close my PHP tags. Man, I'm done, guys. Alright, so now we got another issue. On our view, we have an error. It looks like both of these are going to be the same. It's all important, guys, to make sure you can read these and learn what they mean. So let's see what it says. Failed to open stream, no such file or directory. So there's a problem, probably a typo in our view file in line 62. So let's open that up. So let's go back to core view, and let's scroll down to line 62 here. Alright, so let's see here. Root. Okay. DS. Okay. App. Yep, that looks fine. Then views. And then group. Partials. Let's make sure we spelled that right. P-A-R-T-I-A-L-S. And then partial. .php. I think what we're going to have to do to actually test this is we're going to do path equals all of this, and then what we're going to do is just dump and die path. So let's see what happens here. Alright, so this is application exam raw app views. Oh, we're missing, so if you look here between context partials, we're missing our directory separator. So if you look at partials, let's see, it was between our group. Yep, right here. So yep, this is the problem. We're missing a DS right there. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you need to learn to, so if we refresh now, okay, that looks correct. So now that I know that that looks correct, this is the thing that a lot of programmers don't know how to do is debug. I get a lot of comments from you guys, and most of them are typos, but you guys have no idea how to debug. So it's important that you be able to do that. So I got another error here, of course, and that's going to be in, yep, undefined property, and that's our post action. So let's go ahead and add our post action just to get this thing working here. So what I want to do, this is where we're going to post the form to, and that's why it's not working. So we'll go back to our form, or I'm sorry, we're going to go to our context controller, and let's add, before the render function here, let's add this view post action is going to be equal to project root contacts and DS, and we're going to post it. Let's see, where do I want to post this thing? You know what, let's post it to a save action. So instead of that, let's go ahead and create a new action called save. And keep these things a little bit clean if we can. So if I refresh now, we should be okay. Finally, my goodness, finally got through all of our errors. So now we have to build our form. We're finally starting to build a form. I said we're going to do that at the very beginning, so sorry about that. But this is part of programming, guys. If you think programming is going to be fast, we can do things to make it faster, but it's always going to be kind of a pain in the butt. Okay, so what we want to do here, first thing I want to do is create a div at the top of the form that can display any form errors or validation errors that happen. So what we'll do, actually I just thought of something. Go back to the context controller, and we are just going to post this right back to the same action. So on the add action, just on that post action, just change that to add. And then what we need to do is go back to the form, and what we're going to do here is give this a class of bg danger form dash errors. Okay, and we'll get that CSS later. And then inside there, we're going to actually just dump out our echo, our display errors. Now this is going to be it's going to actually have an error here now, and that's okay because we haven't added that yet. So back in the context controller, what we're going to need to do is just kind of instantiate that variable, and for now let's just create, we'll change this later, but for now let's do this view and display errors, and we're going to make that equal to just an empty array for now. Okay, we're going to come back to that later. What the heck? Make that empty to us, an empty string. Okay, there we go. So if nothing shows here, you're in good shape. That's what we want. Okay, because later what we're going to do is we're going to actually plug in some errors there if there's form validation errors. So we're actually going to do form validation too. All right, so let's get back to the form. Now we get to use our helpers, our form helpers we created. So we're going to echo out an input block and input block, and it's going to be a text. And we'll do, for a label, we'll say first name, and then we'll do f name for our ID, and that's going to match our database, which is important. And then I'm going to do, let's see, how do I want to handle this? I don't want to get you guys too confused. Let's do this contact f name. Okay, well, that's going to cause an error, but we'll fix it. And then I want to give the input a class of form control, and I want to give the div a class of form group, and we'll do a call medium 6 on that. Okay, let's go ahead and go back, and this is going to error. I already know that for a different reason than I thought, and that is because I didn't close my PHP tags. But this will error as well, and that's to be expected because we don't actually have a contact defined yet. So let's go back to add, or I'm sorry, let's go back to the contacts controller in the add action, and we need to set up a contact. So what we'll do at the top here is we'll say contact is going to be equal to a new contacts, and we can do it that way. Yeah. Now that this should load, and it did not because we have to do one more step, and we have to pass it to the view. So we say this view contact is equal to contact. Refresh, and there we go. We have a form started. Alright, so trust me, we'll get back to this, but we're going to continue on with this form. And a lot of this form is going to be very similar, so I'm actually going to just copy this line a few times here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 times. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we're going to just change what we need to change in these. So this will, the next one will be last name with L name, and then here will also be L name. We're not going to change any of the classes. The next thing we want is their address. So we'll say address. This will be address. This will be address. And yep, we'll leave that. And then the next one we're going to do address 2. Address 2. Address 2. We're leaving all the classes the same. And then the next one we need is city. 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 Then we need state. 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 Okay, and then we'll do zip code. And that we just called zip on the back end. Zip. And let's do email. Email. I will change a little bit of that address, but we'll continue on here. And then after email, let's do cell phone. So that was cell underscore phone. And we're naming these exactly like we do in the database, guys, so don't let that confuse you, and make sure you do that, because if not, the later stuff we do won't actually save. I actually need to copy this one more time, because I need one more, and that is going to be work phone. The last thing I want to do is back up here in the address for the city state. I don't need these to be 6 wide. So what we'll probably do is make the city, let's make that 5. We'll make the state 3, and we'll make the zip code 4. That still adds up to 12. So let's go and refresh the page. And now we have our form. Last thing we want to do here is we want to add a cancel button and a submit button, or a save button here at the bottom. So let's see, let's do that. So right underneath this last input block, I want to actually add a div. Okay, and we'll give that div a class of text right, which is just a bootstrap class, guys. We didn't add that. And then what I want to do is we're going to give, the first thing we'll do is create our cancel button. So we'll do href is equal to, we'll just close those tags here, put in cancel, and let's give this a tag a class of button default. Again, more bootstrap classes, and we will actually send them to, so we'll echo out our project root, and then we'll say contacts. Alright, the next thing I want to do is right next to that I want to add a submit tag. So we'll say equal submit tag. Close that, and we'll say just label it save, and then we're going to give that a class of button primary. All right. Let's see how that looks. All right. These have columns, and the reason this isn't matching up is because it's not in a column. So let's try right here. Let's just add another class of call medium 12. Let's see if that fixes that. Yep. All right. So now we have a cancel button and we have a save button. And if I hit cancel, it takes us back to my contacts. If I go to add, we're back here, and you notice our site title was set to add contacts. I think that's all we need for our form, guys. So what we need to do now is like process this form once they hit save. So let's see, let's just inspect this real quick. So we're inspecting the form. Yeah, I'm just making sure this action's correct. So RUA contacts add. Yep, that's what we want. All good. So now what we want to do is go back to the contacts controller, and we're going to finish this bad boy up. So let's see. Adding the contact is super easy at this point. In fact, what we could do is say if there's posted data here, so if $_post, then we're going to do some of this stuff. And honestly, all you have to do at this point to add it to the database is do contact assign and pass post into that, and then just do contact save, and then we'll do a redirect. So So we'll say router redirect, and we just want to redirect to the contacts. Okay, so that's all you have to do to save this information in the database, but we want to do form validation to make sure that they at least put a first name and a last name in. And so what we're going to do is actually do a validation check on that. So up here by contacts, I want to actually do, and I want to do this outside the if statement. So we're going to say validation is going to equal a new validate object. And inside this post then we can say after the contact is assign, we can actually do validation check, and we'll pass in the post data, and then right here is where we would put our item, our array. But I think what I want to do is store that in our contacts model, and so we're going to actually do a static thing here. So we'll do contacts add validation. That way we can actually store this not in this controller, but kind of where it should be and in the model. So let's go ahead and go to that model and create that really quick. It's going to be very simple. So underneath the constructor, let's just do a public static add validation, and that's going to be an array, and we want to validate on f name, and the type of validation that we're going to do here, actually let's do two. We're going to do L name as well, so go ahead and do that. And then what we want to do is we want to say display, it's going to be first name, and then the validation we're going to do is just required. And we could actually do maximum. So let me go to that validate thing here. Let's see, let's do a max. Yeah, let's do max as well. So we'll do required true, and we're going to say max, and we'll do, since we set up our database, what did we tell that? We said we wanted the f name to be 155 characters. So let's go ahead and just make sure they can't, with the validation here, go over 155. Okay. So we'll do the same thing for the last name. It's going to be the same validation. So we could have just copied and pasted, but we'll just type it out. We'll make it required, sure. And these are the only two that we're going to make required. And we'll say max, and that one was also 155. All right. So now that we have this added, we won't get an error there. So this is actually what's going to define the validation for adding a new contact. Let's go back to contacts controller. So once we've done that, the only thing we need to do is run validation. So let's try that out. So we're going to say if validation passed, then at that point, and only at that point, what we want to do here is we want to do this stuff, where let's take that out, we'll assign the contact. Actually, I want to assign that out here. So we're only going to save if validation passed. And then what we're going to do is down here in display areas where we put just a blank string, we're going to change that to validation display errors. Okay, let's refresh the page, see if we have any errors. We don't. Let's hit save. Class contact not found. Well, I probably have an error. Let's see. Line 22. Yeah, it's right here. So it's contacts. So let's try again. So let's try. We'll hit save. I'm not going to fill anything out, but now we hit save, and what we've got is the first name and the last name are red, and then we got these error message up here. First name is required, last name is required. So our validation is working. So let's go ahead and try one out. I'm gonna do Jules Parham 123 main, and let's just do a cell phone. I don't have everything on him. Hit save, and we got another problem. Woohoo! Column deleted cannot be null. So let's see. What we need to do to fix that is go to the PHP MyAdmin, go to structure, and go over here and let's do. I'm going to check that and hit change, and then we're going to just check null here and save it. Alright, I'm going to refresh this page here, and let's try again. Jules Parham, and we're going to do just a cell phone. Hit save, and boom! Something went wrong because it's not showing up here, but let's look at the database. Go back to browse. Oh, okay, yeah, so it actually saved in the database. I'm going to delete this, and well, hang on. The reason that it's not showing up is because we didn't put in our user ID. So let's do that real quick. That's just an oversight. So let's go back here to our contacts controller, and we need, before we save here, we need to put contact user ID is equal to current user ID. So let's try again. Let's go to contacts, add a new contact, Jules Parham 555 333 1212. Hit save, and it still didn't work. What happened here? What am I doing wrong? Alright, so we have the user ID now. Deleted as null. I don't know why this isn't showing. Let's see. Let me just change this to 0 and see if that makes it show up. It does. Why would that be? It has to be because of the soft delete thing. So let's look at soft delete. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to core, and let's look at the model. Soft delete params. Deleted is not equal to 1. Well, null is not equal to 1. Well, let's add I honestly don't know why this isn't working. But to fix it, a really quick fix is let's actually go to our I think this will fix it. Let's go to contacts. Let's find out. And what we're going to do here is in our contacts model, up at the top, let's just say deleted equals 0. And let's try again. Let's try a new contact. We'll do Marcellus Parham. Hit save. Doesn't show up. I'm assuming this is a same issue. It's null. I set a default. I'm not sure why default 0. I'm not sure why it's not adding that, but we can take care of that. Fairly simple. Let's go to here, and just to make this stuff easier on us, and because I'm tired, what we're going to do here is just say contact deleted is equal to 0. That will for sure fix the issue. So let's go back and try to add one more. I'm going to just update this in a database just to fix that row, that record. Okay. So let's refresh now. And let's go to contacts, add new. And this one we'll do Benjamin Parham. And hit save. And now Benjamin does show up. So now we're looking good. The form is working, validation is working. If I just add one here, we'll say Jane, hit save, and now it just says, hey, you didn't give me a last name. It's up to you if you actually want to validate that stuff. I just think we need some sort of form validation so we don't end up with empty rows in our database. And in fact, we didn't allow null on these inside the database, I don't believe. So let's see, let's look at structure. We did, but anyhow, you probably don't want those to be null. Okay, well, it looks like all this is working, the add form. So in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to create a details page where we can actually, these will be links and you can click on them and it'll take you to a details page that will show the entirety of the record. So right now we're only showing email and the phone numbers, but we had address and a few other things. So we'll do that in the next video. Until then, guys, keep coding and try to fix any sort of errors you have on your own just by reading carefully the error message and looking at the line numbers and seeing if you can figure it out. That's an important thing for a developer to be able to do, is debug their own stuff and other code as well. Alright guys, well I hope that helps and I'll see you in the next video.